The brightest spotlight is reserved for two-time Formula One champ Fernando Alonso. He skipped the Monaco Grand Prix for a chance to prove he's good enough to win IndyCar's crown jewel. And we ask, why not? Because he's looked really good so far. And with a resume like this, he has the confidence needed to contend today as he chases the Triple Crown of racing. The buzz around Fernando Alonso, in fact, is so loud. 120 additional members of the international media requested credentials after he announced he was racing the Indy 500. They've had a million questions, they still do. But our Marty Smith asked the ultimate question.
Three letters that can yield so much understanding and meaning. Formula One superstar Fernando Alonso has been nose-to-nose with that insight-seeking inquiry as people ask him, why Indy? And why now?
Racing for me is life. It's feeling alive. I'm racing in Indy 500 because I want to, first of all, experience the biggest race event in the world, and this is the biggest. At this point of my career, I think it was the best time to come to Indy 500, and especially this year that we are underperforming with the F1 season. So, you know, to come here against the best drivers in the world in oval racing, that is very attractive. Very challenging, but very attractive.
Sometimes the why is like climbing Everest. You do it just because it's there. An Indy victory, coupled with his Monaco Grand Prix win, would leave just one obstacle for Alonso to conquer to secure the Triple Crown of motorsports, the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Just one man, the late Graham Hill, has completed that feat.
Tried to win Formula One, Indy 500, and Le Mans 24 Hour. I think it's something, a massive target to achieve that will put you in a different level. I go into the race with the mind of enjoying, making the most of it, live the moment, live the experience. This is not a F1 race that everything is decided on the qualifying or on the first lap of the race. This is 500 miles, so you know you need to stay calm. You know, the last part of the race, when it counts, is where you have to have the car ready to attack.
For Alonso, the why is fundamental. It's the opportunity at history. I had the opportunity to chat with him on Saturday afternoon for quite some time about that why, and you heard him say it. It's the biggest motorsport event in the world. During our conversation, you couldn't wipe the smile off his face. It was permagrin. And he told me when he flips that visor down, he is a competitor. All he wants to do is win. So I then asked, so what's good enough? How do you define success come Sunday evening? He said, second's never good enough. I came here to win. Lindsay?
Thank you, Marty. I love a permagrin. The IndyCar family playing gracious hosts to Fernando so far. Now we turn to our family, our gentlemen in the booth. Two men who know this track very well. Former drivers Eddie Cheever and Scott Goodyear, as well as the man who has guided us through this epic race the last 3 years, Alan Bestwick. Alan, help put into perspective what Alonso is trying to do.
Yeah, Lindsay, so what this is not is Michael Jordan trying to play baseball. This is a race driver trying a different style of racing, but a road course racer learning the oval track at Indy. He's had 1,600 miles plus of practice, yet you still think he's got a lot to learn.
When Alonso came here and started his Indianapolis 500 adventure, he had lots of things that he had to learn, and he did everything impeccably, as you would expect from a genius of the steering wheel. But now the real test begins. He's got to deal with a start, which is very difficult, an incredibly hard first corner. He's got to deal with those first pit stops, and he's got to get his car better and better. But most importantly, if he manages to do all of that, he has to be prepared for that crazy 5-lap final run that inevitably has happened here the last 6-7 years.
And you talk about that last 5 laps, that final run. Yes, that's difficult, but for me as a driver, coming here all the time was the emotions of coming in this place first thing in the morning when there's 300,000 people here. It really gets you going. It forces you to really want to drive hard. You can't drive too hard in turn 1, as you mentioned. You can't drive too hard in the first lap, as you mentioned, because you could crash. You can't win the race in the first lap, but you certainly can lose it, and that's happened here many times. So he's got to get through all that to get that 5-lap run at the end.
So he's got quite the adventurous day ahead. No, it's not Mr. Toad's wild ride, but it could be Fernando's at Indianapolis for sure. Now, Fernando Alonso is not the first Formula One driver to come to Indianapolis. Eddie did it, and a number of others in today's race have done it, including last year's winner Alexander Rossi. Here's the difference between the 4 on the right and the 1 at the left. They had IndyCar experience in prior races during this season. To get ready for this race, Alonso Lindsay, he's starting cold turkey.
Thank you, Alan. It is going to be so much fun to watch, that's for sure. And Marco Andretti, he would love to end his family's drought, but Fernando Alonso would love to stop that.
In the middle, but out front in worldwide attention,
Hola, America.
two-time F1 world champ Fernando Alonso. And then there's J.R. Hildebrand.
Fernando, you have competed and won on some of the greatest race courses in the world, but never on an oval, and never until today in the Indianapolis 500. How would you describe this moment?
Well, I think it's one of the best moments, for any racing driver when you compete in the best races in the world, and this is one of those. So, yeah, really looking forward to jump in the car and finally get some racing out there. Hopefully we put a good show for the fans here on the racetrack, there on the television. So, yeah, people will enjoy this race.
They say to win this race, you have to have talent, team, experience, and luck. Millions watching around the world want to know, do you believe you have enough of each to win the Indy 500 today?
Well, probably less than the others, especially the experience. I think I'm lacking a little bit because it's my first oval race ever. So, I will try to learn quick in the first couple of laps, in the first couple of restarts, the first couple of yellows. Everything will be new for me, but hopefully I get up to speed as quick as I can.
Great to have you here. Good luck today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Imagine the impact if Fernando Alonso were to win this race today around the world.
Fernando Alonso carries the McLaren on board from the middle of row number 2. The Spaniard has accomplished a lot in his Formula One career and now wants to add an Indianapolis 500 win to that resume. Rick DeBrule.
Well, Alan, we've talked a lot about the fact that he's a world champion, one of the greatest race car drivers of all time. But when the green flag flies here at Indy, he's just a rookie. He's going to have to figure out restarts. He's going to have to figure out pit stops. He's going to have to figure out traffic. Now, he's had some great advice this week. He's doing a great job. It's going to test his championship skills. He says he's as prepared as he can possibly be, but he also admits that for the Indy 500, even that may not be enough.
Of course, Alonso from Spain, the Spanish version of our race, presented by ESPN Deportes, is accessed by using the SAP function on your remote control.
If Ganassi has a team plan, and this what we see is what they're being executed at right now, they really are working well together. They keep passing the lead one with the other, so they can get some distance and they can save some fuel. But the one who's I'm really following is Alonso right now, because he's working his way up to the front. He's got to get behind the first 3 cars.
Well, what I'm watching with him, it looks like his car is working better in turns 1 and 2. He gets close to Marco Andretti. That's the 27 car, the blue and white one, just in front of him. Watch this. He'll come off of turn 2. He seems like he works well through this area here, but he starts to lose a little bit down there in 3 and 4. He doesn't have enough of a run out of any of these turns to be able to get up and make the pass before he gets to the next end of the racetrack.
Let's not forget, Andretti's getting a draft from the car ahead of him, so it's not like he's sitting out there by himself. He sure is working the gearbox a lot. Got a good run this time.
Probably up a gear. There he goes. Is he close enough? Possibly. Teammate ahead. He'll rethink it, though. Good job sitting back and just learning. Off the throttle and pace yourself. Long time to go in this race, Fernando.
So pit stops, pit crews, pit strategy always plays a big role in the 500, any automobile race actually, as Alonso goes after J.R. Hildebrand for a spot
on the outside.
Oh, he's pedaling that, boys. It's moving up to the wall.
Downshifting, pedaling, everything. He just passed his first car on the outside going into one.
Yeah, and his heart rate just went up about 40 beats a minute.
Alonso up to fifth.
People like this, Fernando Alonso, he's in the kind of position where he can save fuel. We'll see the strategy by when they hit pit road.
Now let's watch him how he sets up the car in front of him.
You see Dixon's cars moving all over. It just does that, what we call that waddling going into the turn. It's loose. That is a neutral car loose, and only a veteran like him would hold on to that. What's an amazing drive right there by Scott Dixon.
Alonso to fourth.
So it's now fourth.
Guys, Dixon's on the verge of crashing that car. How he's holding on, I don't know.
Well, Fernando Alonso they asked him on the radio just a little bit earlier, how's the car, how's the balance? He said it's fine. He really has not talked much on the radio. Remember, at the very beginning, he got shuffled back. He started fifth, got shuffled back. This is going to be his very first pit stop in an IndyCar. Brings it to a stop relatively slowly, but nicely. Now the job is to get these guys, who don't regularly do this during the season, have been put together for this run, into a nice, clean pit stop, and they do that. Doc?
There is a new leader in the Indianapolis 500-mile race. It is Fernando Alonso. He has gone to the front a lap, now 2 laps ago. Here's the pass.
A brilliant move, timed perfectly, going past his teammate, Alexander Rossi, on the inside, preferred place to pass. Nice, smooth move, not too far down the white line. Probably made some changes in the pit stop, I think, Eddie, to make that car work as well as it is.
Obviously, what they did to the car, if maybe the tire pressure change or whatever, has given him confidence, but he is definitely learning so fast. I think we are in the process of watching the perfect execution. This is unbelievable. I'm sitting here, I'm aghast. I can't find words to describe what he's managed to do in so few laps, Alan.
Well, the words you told us during the commercial, I'm going to bring back for you. You said, this is genius at work.
It's amazing. He's modified his line. He's learned the line to run when he's behind other people. He was perfect in his timing of the passes. He fell back in the beginning, very much like Rick Mears would do, and then he just worked his way up the field. Now what he has to do is start working with Rossi to try to save some fuel.
Let's check with Rick DeBrule.
Well, Jay Howard is just having a miserable day. Remember, this is his first Indy 500 since 2011. The team believes he ran out of fuel. They pushed him just a little too far, and as a result of running out of fuel, that's caused some other problems they're trying to catch up to. So once again, they're having some problems. Now let's talk about Fernando Alonso. In that last stop, you guys were speculating what kind of changes were made. All they did, I just checked with Michael Andretti, all they did was change the tire pressure. They did not make any changes to the wing, anything else. So all they've done is tire pressure. And once again, he's talking very little on the radio.
All right, Rick. So there is. It was Scott Dixon back in 7th place.
Trying to make some space up there. Remember, we had a report earlier that there is a light downforce load on the Ganassi cars and more of a downforce load on the Andretti cars. When we talk about downforce, that tells you how much grip the cars will have in the turns. And as the track is fresh here, as we call it green, sometimes cars with more downforce are easier to drive, gives you more confidence. We're seeing Andretti cars out front right now. Maybe the Ganassi teams will change during pit stops to make their cars have a bit more grip so they can battle back up towards the front.
As up front, Rossi goes back around Alonso for the lead.
That's perfect. They need to do that as many times as they can, because when you're out there by yourself, you're burning too much fuel, Scott. You have to work. When you have a teammate and both cars are running as well as these two are, you have to leapfrog one to the other, and you can do that without creating any turbulence for the car that you're passing. Whereas if you're passing somebody aggressively, once you've gone by them, you move your car up in front of where theirs is, and you just give them a whole bunch of dirty air, and you put distance between them and yourself. Something you'd probably do later in the race than this early.
But everything that we're talking about is a learning curve for Fernando Alonso. You know, I think about how many times drivers come here, Eddie, doesn't matter what discipline they're in, and they never lead a lap at the Indianapolis 500. Fernando Alonso, obviously a two-time world champion. We would expect to be up front, but he's already led in his very first Indy 500.
He's not here for money. He gets paid $40 million a year, I heard, in Formula One. So he's not here for the money. He has a car that's uncompetitive in Formula One. He's here because he has a chance to win. And this place is scary for anybody, but he's taken to it like a duck takes to water. What he's done in these first few laps is, I'm looking at somebody that's been racing here for 10 years. And he has other things to do. There's other things he has to prepare himself for, but I'm sure he has enough understanding of it right now to deal with just about any adversity the track can send his way. And look at Rossi. Rossi is not the driver we looked at last year. We didn't even consider him for the win. Last year, he's been up at the front since the beginning. He's galvanized and quick.
So Rossi leading, Alonso is second. This on the 29, Alonso's radio a minute ago.
Just Alex. You and Alex are going to be able to play here, so go to position 7 on fuel now. Wheel 7.
That's what you were talking about them trying to go back and forth a little bit, Eddie, and save some fuel and extend their range while they have a little separation from everybody else.
And that voice you heard on the radio is none other than Michael Andretti, the team owner and one of the fastest men to ever sit in a car here at Indianapolis. So he's going to have some great information headed his way to Fernando's ear all throughout this race.
And he was very unlucky as a driver at Indy 500, but he's been quite the opposite as an owner.
Beginning to get some company up front. Not only are they catching some cars they're going to put a lap down, but Takuma Sato in that blue and white car with the green striping is closing in on the front too to try and make this a three-way fight for the lead.
And did we say that all three of those cars are Andretti's?
You just did.
Andretti's powered by Hondas. Very impressive.
Across 100 miles already in the Indianapolis 500, still caution-free. Alexander Rossi, last year's winner, currently leads. And in our side-by-side coverage, you saw Fernando Alonso get past Alexander Rossi and now put a little gap on him. So Alonso out in front once again. Verizon IndyCar Series next moves on to Detroit and a pair of races at Belle Isle. The Detroit Grand Prix next Saturday and Sunday, both here on ABC at 3:30 Eastern Time. That's a quick, tough little street course. Drivers will have their hands full. Some long straightaways, some caution. Turn 2. Trouble. Oh my goodness, what a huge crash. The Indianapolis 500-mile race under the red flag. Just after a quarter of the distance completed, Fernando Alonso is the leader. And another one of these things Alonso has not experienced yet, a yellow flag pit stop here in Indianapolis. He has the advantage of being the race leader. Here they come. We'll see who comes off pit road with the #1 spot. Rick?
Well, Fernando Alonso was talking about a little bit of understeer in the car. They were having a debate as to whether he said, I'd like a little more wing, and they're like, we're not quite sure we want to do that, but they've had a discussion about it. Overall, he's very happy. He said during that last stint, actually, that the car got better as it went along. He rolled the car very slowly to the stop. Once again, things going smoothly. No wing adjustment, it looks like. Now we're going to go to Takuma Sato, who's also doing very well. No changes to Sato's car. Doc?
Half a turn of front wing in Alexander Rossi's car. A little bit of an understeer. They did a half a turn on the previous stop to help a lot. Whoa, near contact on pit road. But Rossi gets another half turn to help the understeer in the corner.
There's our Honda race off pit road. The Honda of Fernando Alonso holds the top spot. So we documented some of the work that Helio Castroneves might need to have done, and that finding the pit stall and getting away from the pit stall easier because Alonso is the leader, but then when other cars start coming out, there you see the trickier spots on the pit lane that these drivers have encountered. Remember in the race a year ago, 4 times there was contact on pit road that ruined people's races. Just joining us, where you been? Fernando Alonso has been the story of the day so far, the 2-time Formula One champion. In his first IndyCar race, in his first Indianapolis 500, started 5th, moved up to take the lead for the first time 37 laps into the race. He had some debris on the underwing of his car, probably picked up in the accident. Green flag, Alonso leads him down.
Great time to pass people when they're all bunched together, but also the most dangerous time. And now Rossi back in front of his teammate.
Andretti cars are 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Team owner Michael Andretti and Andretti Autosport, 4 times a winner of the 500, including 2 of the last 3 years. There's Takuma Sato by Fernando Alonso.
Alonso's learned early, as you saw there, just running a line that's about 3/4 the way down, moves up to the high side to take the turn, and Ryan Hunter-Reay slides on through.
Alonso's got to be careful. He's going to be under pressure from Hildebrand here shortly.
Alonso's got a run on Sato for 3rd place. Oh, into the inside. Wow.
I think Alonso's going to get Rossi turning into 3. It's going to be very close, but on the outside. No.
He's learned quick what to do, what not to do. That's the choice of a veteran. Decided not to do it at this time.
A veteran carrying a rookie yellow number on the back of his car.
Yes, that's almost an oxymoron.
I know.
Yeah.
When he came here for that, he was listed as a rookie. It just didn't seem right.
Pit road's open. Rick?
Well, these guys are up front. Once again, the Andretti guys all have been working together, but now they've got to come in, do everything as best as possible. Fernando Alonso does have a little bit of an advantage. He's going to come in. Remember, he wasn't quite happy after that last stop. He kind of got eaten up. As a result, they want to get things just right. But the nice thing is he's got an easy out. Now, the man who's leading the race, Ryan Hunter-Reay, relatively happy with the car. They're going to make no changes and send it back out. Doc?
Alexander Rossi wanted some changes on the car, but he said, no, not under the yellow. We got to get in and out. And Rossi will follow Ryan Hunter-Reay with Alonso behind him off pit road.
Marco Andretti is the car still sitting there. They're changing the rear wing on the 27 car. There's our Honda race off pit road. Hunter-Reay hangs on to the top spot.
Alonso's getting a little bit frustrated. He stuck his nose down there, turning into 4.
So there is the biggest gap we've seen in a while. Alonso past Will Power for 5th place.
Now, here we go.
Here goes Alonso again.
Past Helio Castroneves to pick up the 4th position.
Every lap, Alonso was learning something.
I would agree. I don't think there's ever any 2 laps here, and all the laps I did, Eddie, and I'm sure you'd say the same thing, that they're ever the same.
That's the first defensive move I've seen him make. What I really like about what Alonso's doing, he can run his race car anywhere on the course. I've seen him high, I've seen him low, I've seen him almost in the grass. Watch this. He'll be low, he'll be really low. There you go. Into the draft. And there's nothing the car ahead of him can do.
And up front, Rossi to the inside of Hunter-Reay for the race lead. Chilton not giving in to Alonso there.
So Alonso had to tuck right back in behind Chilton, and what ended up doing, you saw his car go up towards the wall a little bit because he didn't get all that clean air going over the wings. So he probably just learned something there.
Here's 3rd place, Alonso again and Chilton.
And Chilton is not giving him an inch.
Certainly ran that defensive line coming out of 2. You're allowed by the rules to come out, pick a lane that you want to run going down the straightaway, but you cannot move your line in response to the car behind you. So for Max Chilton, he seems to be making the 1 move. No penalty so far.
And through all of that, Alonso got passed by Castroneves. So Alonso's going to have to regroup and find a different way.
No.
Oop, little slip there.
There we go. Go, get behind him.
I think what we're also seeing is the downforce is not allowing him to get down the straight quick enough. Here he goes. He makes a move. It looked like the 8 car of Chilton seemed to have just a little bit more ease of getting down the straightaway. So probably that lower downforce that we heard that Ganassi was running might start to come into play here.
Just the 3 and maybe the 8 and the 12 will have to pit just a few laps earlier than people like Rossi and Hunter-Reay and Alonso, who announces himself moving around the lap car of Spencer Pigot. Rick?
Well, we got two of the leaders coming in. There's Fernando Alonso. They're relatively happy with the car, but Ryan Hunter-Reay just a few moments ago was complaining that he had a vibration in the right rear. They believe it's just the tire. They want to put a little bit of wing in it, and they send him back out. Slow stop, though, for Fernando.
When drivers are coming in the pit lane, you saw guys reaching in front of their visor and taking a strip off. That's a clear strip they call a visor strip. And once it gets dirty, they get a chance to take it off, as Graham Rahal does right there.
Let's just say that the visor cam has taken a hit as Alonso and Rossi go for second place. A little debris on the screen that makes the visor cam a little difficult to show you at the moment.
Now, although we don't have much wind here, guys, there is the windsocks at the end of each straight, and drivers look at them as they go into the turn. Right now, the wind's not really helping you. It's giving you a bit of a tailwind going into 2, and you can see the wind here. It's a bit of a headwind coming out of 3 into 4, so it helps tighten the car up a little bit going into 4. Drivers will compensate for that as they make their run through this race.
Coming to the restart, what'll be with 66 laps to go in the Indianapolis 500. Fernando Alonso is out in front. He has led 3 different times. He's led the second most laps in the race. And he's going to get a chance to pace a rolling restart here with Ryan Hunter-Reay and Alexander Rossi behind him.
Outside now, outside clear.
That voice you heard was from the spotters. Each driver has 2 spotters on the racetrack, 1 in turn 1, 1 in turn 3, and they radio to the driver what's going on right now. The spotter in turn 3 for Fernando will be telling that Ryan Hunter-Reay is on the inside and just gone past.
That was a good test for Alonso if there was a restart at the end, but they've happened often. He's seen that even if you make it through 1 and 2, you're very vulnerable turning into 3 after a restart. Look.
Here he comes again. We will go with Rick in Alonso's pit.
And Fernando Alonso just had a perfect pit stop. He came in, got things on quickly, no adjustments to the car, and they sent him back out. Relatively happy, as he has been almost the entire time. When you think about it, it's been almost that way the entire month. Now he just has to dial it in and figure out how to get through the rest of this race. Doc?
What's happened so far in the 500? Well, Alonso has put on a show.
He's put on a show right from the beginning. He's been incredibly clean in his passing. He's always managed to get by everybody, high, low, wherever. And I get the feeling, Scott, that he's getting better as the race progresses. He just did a restart and was perfect.
Here's Fernando Alonso picking up a spot on James Davison.
I've been watching this battle between Fernando Alonso and Tony Kanaan, who sits just ahead of him. He's not been able to find a way around.
Castro holds on. And Ed Jones.
Eddie, you know this part of the race. This is where you grab the steering wheel just a little bit tighter. You're more reluctant to take your foot off the gas. And this is the battles that we see right now.
Alonso outside of turn 1.
Oh, that was magnificent.
And he's going outside of turn. No, he doesn't. He calls it a day.
Well, that will kill his speed a little bit by trying to make that extra pass. We'll see if he gets past going down the straight now.
Here's Sato looking outside. Yellow flag, car in trouble.
Alonso's engine is broken.
Stop that.
Well,
so sorry, man.
You can feel the frustration from here.
And that was team owner Michael Andretti on the radio. So sorry, man.
I would say this as he unfastens. He acquitted himself very well in his first try at the Indy 500.
In the car and out of the car.
Yes. He had to do a lot of things that a Formula One driver's not used to doing, publicity-wise and so on, and he did it.
Listen to the public. That is a racer. He put all of his Formula One prestige on the line and came and raced it here at Indy and gave it one heck of a run.
Fernando Alonso today has had the fastest average lap time in the race.
It's not shocking.
Still there.
That's when he was trying to outside move. Almost got that completed.
Closing on you.
Down the
One
back
back
stretch.
now. On your box, looking on the outside. Can we look at, gonna pop? And outside. Clear.
Great information from the spotter there. Onto the front stretch, and let's listen. This is where it happens.
No warning.
Here's the descent lane here.
Well, not the walk he hoped to be taking, but again, really impressed with the pace, with the execution, with the attitude, with the openness that Fernando Alonso has shown here at Indianapolis.
Everybody in the grandstands hopes he comes back again. A true champion.
All right, so while they continue to clean up, Dr. Jerry Punch.
And Fernando Alonso has come out of his bus. Ryan Hunter-Reay comes over, obviously sharing disappointment. Fernando, how much warning did you get when we heard the noise and the car began to slow?
Yeah, only on that moment, to be honest, you know. I felt the noise, the engine friction, and then I back off and I saw the smoke on the exhaust, and yeah, it's a shame. I think we deserve at least to finish the race and to experience the day lap and all the things, but who knows which position we could be.
I don't know if you could hear the fans, but 300,000 standing and screaming and cheering the performance you put on the day when you climbed out of the car. How would you evaluate your drive today in the Indy 500?
I mean, the whole day has been a very nice experience, you know, from the very beginning, from the presentation and then the racing. The racing was fun, it was nice, and I think the performance was good. We were up there leading the race for a couple of laps, and on the red flag we were leading the race. So a very nice surprise to come here with these big names, big guys, the best on oval racing, and be able to be competitive.
You put yourself out there to come here, learn to be an oval track racer, race in this event. You could have won this race. Will you think about coming back?
Yeah, obviously, you know, it's very early, just finished this one, but I feel competitive. If I come back, I come back with something that I know how it will feel, so it will be easier the second time than what it has been this one. So really good fun. Thanks to all IndyCar, thanks to Indianapolis, thanks to the fans, because this has been one of the best experiences in my career.
Fernando, thank you for a great show today. We look forward to having you back.
Thank you.
Alan?
So Alonso acquitted himself very well to us.